Welcome to the OnPar podcast. I'm your host, Drew D'Alberto, alongside Sean Kicker, my co-host.
Great to be here, Drew.
Always good to have you. Always good to be with you, Sean. So, we got a couple big tournaments in the PGA coming up. One is the Players' Championship coming up very, very soon. And then in April, early April, we've got the Masters. So let's start with the Players. Tell us about the Players' Championship and why it's important.
It's the beginning of major season, baby. And this is where most of us get really excited about golf. I love everything about the majors. The majors, I don't miss a moment of it. Regular tour events, you watch some of the big ones. You watch the Honda, you watch the Waste Management, you watch a couple of the other ones, Bay Hill. But the Players' Championship really is kind of that unofficial fifth major. And when you look at all of the other tours, okay, the PGA Tour is the only one that still insists that we only have 4 majors. I would love to see that Players' Championship become the fifth major. The LPGA Tour has 6 major championships. The Senior Champions Tour with the seniors has 5. But time will tell if it's ever been. It's always talked about, and it's that unofficial 5th major championship.
That's all their internal politics at work or something? Like, what's the reasoning behind one has this and one has that, or there's no rhyme or reason to it?
It would change a lot of the history of the game. If that actually was a major championship, it would change the statistics for people who have major champions.
And I know you've said in the past, and in past episodes, kind of it's a wide open field and anybody can win it. But give us a couple of the favorites in Sean Kicker's mind as a PGA pro and a teaching pro. Who's gonna be at the top of the leaderboard of this thing?
It's the who's who of everybody out there. And there's a dozen guys that are playing exceptional golf at the top of their game. And TPC Sawgrass Stadium course is a true test of golf. It's that Pete Dye design. It's beautifully laid out. It's devilishly, deceptively difficult. And it's going to come down to the person that makes the least mistakes and makes the most putts. That's what it always comes down to.
Okay, fair enough. And then right after that, we've got the Masters, the event, right? I mean, that's a special one.
I can hear the music playing in the background.
When I say
right
the
now,
Masters,
yeah.
right? So tell us about the Masters,
A
Sean.
place unlike a tournament unlike any other, tradition unlike any other. It is a special place, and if you've never been there before, words cannot describe it. Television doesn't do it justice. It's the most pristine, beautiful golf course that I've ever seen, ever, and there's nothing that's even close to it. It's the brainchild of the great Bobby Jones, who was an amateur player back in the 1920s, and then in 1930-ish, after he had won the Grand Slam, decided that he was going to build his homage to St. Andrews, and built this amazing property of these rolling hills. And what you can't see on television is just how hilly it is. I mean, it is a huge drop from the top where the clubhouse is all the way down to the 12th green. The lowest, well, the 11th green is actually the lowest spot. 12 sits up a little bit more. But incredible.
So give us a little history. Talk to us about the Masters a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, the course was finished in 1934. The Masters was held that first year. Some of the interesting facts about when we're going to talk about in the future about how much the course has changed over the years. 1940, 6,800 yards. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to today, to this last year, 7,510 yards. A huge increase. 6,800 was long for the day. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about this more about future episodes and how golf courses have transformed from what once was to what it is today. And it's simply because guys are just bombing it. Mm-hmm. But little history about Bobby Jones and his architect, Alistair Mackenzie. Alistair Mackenzie designed 75 plus golf courses, and some of the famous ones, Royal Melbourne in Australia, Lahinch in Ireland, Cypress Point in Monterey, which is arguably one of the most beautiful golf courses. It's right next door to Pebble Beach on the ocean in California. And then he also designed University of Michigan and Ohio State Golf Club, which I thought was extremely ironic because who are greater rivals than Ohio State and Michigan. But he designed both of those university golf courses, which I thought was an interesting little fact.
Yeah, and one other thing that's going to make the Masters completely different this year is the guys who defected to live that are still eligible to play in the Masters are allowed to play in the Masters. So what does that mean for the level of competition in your mind?
Oh man, it just ramps it up, especially for the live guys who now have this chip on their shoulder like, okay, yeah, you guys have ridiculed us for leaving and going to this rival league. It's been merciless on them in some cases. There's been lawsuits. There's been antitrust suits. I mean, all kinds of controversy over this thing. It's their opportunity to go, yeah, that's right. Okay.
And we're not attorneys, so we're not getting into all the lawsuits because we don't have time on this show, nor do we have the brain power to withstand it.
We may dabble with it in the future, but
yeah,
it'd be interesting. I watched The Fairway on Netflix and binge watched that entire thing. And they talk about the live, but it was in the perspective of last season. That's, so
right.
If you watch Fairway, it starts at the Masters and works its way all the way to the Tour Championship, and things have changed. They weren't sure if the live players were going to be ever allowed to play in another PGA Tour event.
How disruptive will it be if one of the guys that came back from live for this actually wins the Masters this year?
I don't think it'll be disruptive. I think it will just be more talking points, right?
Right
just
on.
lots of talking. I don't think it's going to be any controversy. Look, there's a lot of good players that jump ship to go over to live, and we know why.
Money.
It's
Big freaking checks. We know exactly
straight
why.
up money, and we know who went and why they went.
Yeah, 100%. So,
But back to the history
yeah,
of the Masters. It's who's won the Masters. I mean, everybody who's who has won the Masters. But let's start with 6-time Masters champion, the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus, who is my favorite golfer of all time, followed by 5-time champion, Tiger Woods, 4-time champion, Arnold Palmer, and then there's a host of guys that were 3-time champions. You've got legends like Gary Player, Sam Snead, Nick Faldo, Phil Mickelson, Jimmy DeMeritt, who a lot of people don't even remember, but Jimmy DeMeritt was a longtime broadcaster back in the day. Had a really, really, really long career as a broadcaster afterwards.
well, how freaking, you want to talk about talking points. What if Tiger actually comes back from nearly being dead a few months ago in that car crash and somehow wins the Masters?
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Of course not.
And here's why. For years and years and years, we saw the same players over and over and over at the top of the leaderboard. That golf course tends to lend itself towards particular people's games. It's the same people year after year. A guy like Freddie Couples, who's pushing 60 right now, I wouldn't be surprised if within the first 36 holes before the cut, and I would almost be willing to bet that he's going to make the cut at that extended age because he plays that golf course so well. Jack was another one that won there 6 times. I've always said this, that if Tiger wins another major, it was going to be at Augusta National, and we saw that in 2019, where everyone else just kind of fell to the wayside. He made all the right moves at all the right time.
I mean, I personally would love to see Tiger and Phil up at the top of the leaderboard on Sunday. That would be so exciting.
Oh my God, that'd be fun. Or if Rory was in the mix and
Right.
maybe some of the other live guys, it would
Dustin
just be
Johnson
and we may
or
see
Cam
that.
Smith
Cam
or
Smith. We may
yeah.
very well see that, and I think that that's just going to add to the drama. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's an absolute good thing.
I mean, it's a good thing for the game of golf in general,
Sure.
right? You'll have eyeballs on that tournament that wouldn't have been on that tournament last year or the year before.
Completely, absolutely,
cool.
completely. It's going to be interesting.
What are some of the things that you see as a pro and a teacher that we may not see that we should be looking out for on this golf course?
Well, again, the thing is you have to go there to see it.
Okay.
And what you don't realize is the slope and how there are certain places on those greens that you just can't hit it. If you hit it there, you might not even keep your putt on the green. There's so much undulation there, and the greens some are big, some are small. It really is a true test of golf. And then the trees are lining the fairways, and it wasn't like that when he first designed the golf course. Those are 100-year-old trees that line the fairway. But the conditions are, I've always said there's not a blade of grass out of place.
Yeah, I've heard you say that many times. So you're going this year, which is awesome. So tell us about your upcoming trip to Augusta.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm excited because I have not been there since 1994.
Okay, it's been a while.
Went to the Masters in 1994. Jose Maria Olazabal won it that year. I was there in 92 when Freddie Couples won. But the other thing that, we're going to go with some friends of mine. I saw them last year. They posted on Instagram their whole expedition. And as a PGA professional, we get to go to the Masters for free. There's no lottery. There's
That's
no
a pretty good
tickets.
deal.
We just show up at this specific gate for PGA professionals. We flash our PGA credentials, and we get in.
Can you get me one of those?
Well, we've got to take us a couple of years. You got to pass your PAT,
Oh,
and
shit,
then
I got a ways to go.
you can become a PGA associate.
All right, good enough. It's on the bucket list for the next year or two, then. I'm in.
So, I love it.
I'm in.
I love it.
I'm in. Show me the way, Yoda.
They went camping last year.
Okay. And you're doing that this
We're
year.
going to do this year. And the reason why they're camping is there's no hotels that are available. They're all booked out in advance, and to rent a house is $20,000-$30,000 for the week. So
That's the Augusta rule. That's in the tax code, right?
Yeah.
There's that's in the tax code because of Augusta, because of the Masters.
Yeah, the Masters is their Super Bowl. My goodness,
Yeah.
they make their money year round off of that 1 week's worth of revenue because there's so many people that come in
Yep.
to this particular event. But so the trip that we're going to do, we're going to play Monday at TPC Sawgrass in the stadium course, which is where the Players is at.
Very nice.
Okay. Tuesday, we're probably going to be playing Jekyll Island, which is another one of the top golf courses there in
And
Georgia.
just a cool name in general.
It
too.
is Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
And Wednesday, we're going to go into the par 3 course, which to me is the most beautiful part of the property.
Okay.
When you look at the whole overall grounds of the Augusta National Golf Club, there's a section off that you don't see, and it is the par 3 course. It's absolutely gorgeous. Azaleas, dogwoods, everything's in bloom.
So by 2025, I'm in. Then, in other words, is what I'm hearing. Got it.
Depends on how much. It depends on how many times you can hit 16,000 golf shots.
I'm working on it. That's only 100 a day for like half a year. That's nothing. No big deal.
No, I'm at today. Tomorrow it's 17,000.
Shoot. All right, so I'm looking forward to the Players. I'm looking forward to the Masters. Well, I'm sure we'll be recapping it, especially your amazing trip coming up when you get back. So let's get into the Sean's pro tip of the week. What do you got for us this week, Sean?
Well, the question that I get all the time from parents is, and you wanted to know this, how do I get my kid more involved?
100%.
And so at first, the First Tee is a great entry point. Okay, you get them involved with the First Tee program. It's a low cost. It's 1 day a week. And you get them to go to that, get them excited about it. As their enthusiasm grows, then you maybe seek a professional that will work with them a little bit one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then you've got to get them on the golf course. And what's a great way to transition onto the golf course? PGA Junior League.
Okay.
First Tee does a PGA Junior League. It is a lot of fun. It's one of the most fun aspects of what we do with First Tee because it's a team concept. The kids get these uniforms. They've got a home jersey and an away jersey, just like any other sport would. They get to pick their number on the back of their jersey with their name on it.
That's
so
cool.
how cool is that,
That's
right?
cool.
And we play 2-person scrambles. So you and I
Yeah.
would play against Curfton and Brian in a match, and you and I play a 2-person scramble.
Sure.
And they play.
So you hit all the shots until I get to the green.
However it works out. Yeah, you can be my. I've always said you
I'll
can
be
be
your
my
designated
designated putter
putter,
all
yes,
day
of
long.
course.
I'll get us there, kid. You just make
Well,
the
on
putt.
May 5th, we'll have that opportunity, but keep going.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. But those are 8-week seasons, and it's just a fun way to get kids out on the golf course. And then you get into more experienced from there. are playing in different tournaments.
And what's like the average age of kids that are going into that league?
I mean,
Is it kind of all over the board?
It is.
Is it 6? Is it 8? Is it 10?
There's a 13U, so
Okay.
anyone that's 13 and under
Okay.
can participate. And then there's a 17U, which is that middle school, high school
Mhm.
age group.
Yeah, like 8th to 12th grade kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's
11th
generally
grade or
speaking
whatever.
7, 8.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see a 5, 6 division,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the time you're looking for 7 or 8-year-olds to start playing 9 holes.
And are those all throughout the year here in Florida, or are they? I mean, I know they're scattered in other parts of the country because of weather, but here we could play all year round. So.
We do, but there's limited access to golf courses in the wintertime.
Right.
So the tournaments are as abundant in the winter as they are starting in the spring.
Okay.
So you've got U.S. Kids Golf,
Mm-hmm.
which is nationwide.
I've heard of it.
You've got the Under Armour, which is very similar to Junior League, where it's an 8-week season. And you sign up for the whole thing all in advance. And then what I call the top tier events are the South Florida PGA Junior Tour Series.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got the Links Tour, the Prep Tour, all of those things based upon age and ability, and they have point standings, and it's
gotcha.
really, really cool.
Okay. So let's get into my question of the week. What does Drew want to know? And this week, I kind of wanted to know about the grip, because ever since I started playing golf about 4.5 years ago, everybody I've talked to has told me the importance of the grip and how everything else stems from the grip. So tell us a little bit about the grip. And I know there's different grips. There's 10-finger, there's 9-finger, there's interlocking. You know, there's a weak grip, there's a strong grip. Tell us about the grip and why it's so critical and crucial to the golf swing.
Well, it's so essential because it's your connection point to the club that you're using.
Mhm.
Okay, so I've always described the golf swing as a throw. And what are we throwing? We're throwing the face of the golf club through the golf ball.
Mhm.
Okay, so if I had a ball and I had a ball in my hand, I would hold it a very specific way.
Sure.
And I say, put this ball between your ring finger and your pinky.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask, can you throw it?
Not very well.
Yeah, that's the answer, is yes, you can throw it. It's going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
Okay? Then, I haven't put it between the middle finger and the ring finger. How about now?
Better, but still not accurately.
Right? Okay? And so, most of the time, people that struggle with this game, I see them holding the golf club like you're trying to throw a ball in between these fingers and these fingers.
Okay.
You're at an extreme disadvantage. Okay? So once you have your hands put together, working as one unit, it becomes a lot easier for you to lose that grip pressure as well. Because grip pressure is as important as how you place your hands on the club. You can put your hands on the club great, but then you squeeze together and notice all of a sudden my wrists are locked in position, my forearms are tight. I can feel the tension going all the way up into my neck. When we're tight, we can't move.
Right.
So positioning of the hands is super important. And there is a lot of preference. When you look at the different types of grips that are out there, you look at a Dustin Johnson, very strong grip,
Mhm.
okay? Look at some of the other guys, very weak turn hand underneath almost grip.
Okay.
Completely different motions and takeaways for
Mhm.
those. Completely different releases for those types of different grips. Strong grip, weak grip. But at the end of the day, it's all about what your preference is and how you want to swing that golf club. Okay, so there is no real right or wrong, but I would highly encourage a beginner golfer and junior golfers. You can go online and look up a preformed grip,
Okay.
training grips.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's molded so that you cannot hold it incorrectly. And the biggest thing that I see there is it's the position of the left thumb.
Okay.
Okay, and where that is in relationship to the palm and getting that V to point towards your shoulder. But more importantly, it's that right hand and that index finger and that thumb that forms almost like what I call that trigger finger.
Mhm.
Okay, instead of
Yeah.
That's what the beginner does.
You don't have that big thumbs up
Yeah,
sign.
it's everything is palms, and they want to do, they want to kind of do that stuff.
Yeah, grab it like a baseball bat.
And you just don't have the same feel and dexterity and awareness of where the club face is when you hold it like that. You don't need to worry about a baseball bat because there's no face on a baseball bat.
Right.
You just hit it anywhere on there and you're going to be good. Golf club, totally different. Much like if you had a racket. If you held a racket, there's really a proper way to kind of hold that thing. And then there's an improper way to hold that thing, and it affects everything that comes before or after.
Yeah, it's really the foundation of everything. I got it. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about some upcoming events. I know we touched on May 5th, but first we've got April 11th, the Feature Connect event for the first tee.
Yeah, this is exciting for us, and the reason why the Feature Connect event is important is because most Connect events, they're just social mixers. We get a bunch of people in the room, we network, we talk about first tee, but they don't really get to see first tee. So a Feature Connect event is going to feature a golf clinic with some of our outreach students from Boys and Girls Club. It's going to be at C.B. Smith Park at All Golf. From 4:30 to 5:30 is the clinic. You don't have to stay for the whole thing. In fact, I'm telling people, show up later,
5 o'clock, 5:15.
5 o'clock, 5:15. That's generally when we're wrapping up. You'll see enough of it. And you'll see the delivery of the life skills program. You'll see the delivery of the core values. And when the clinic's over, you get to meet some of these impressive youngsters. And then we'll have our normal Connect event, which is a fun social mixer. There's going to be food there. Generally, Mission Barbecue tends to sponsor the food, so we got some good eats. You've been to some of these things,
good barbecue, absolutely.
And long drive competition, closest to the pin, and a putting contest, and we give away prizes, and we'll generally do a 50-50 raffle for that.
Beautiful thing. So then after that, we've got May 5th, which we kind of alluded to earlier in this episode. Doc Reno from Big 105.9, he's the founder of the My Family Matters Foundation. He helps kids with cancer in the hospital and their families with non-medical financial troubles. He's actually a cancer survivor. He told me earlier this week that he's 5 years cancer-free now, so congratulations, Doc. We're happy for him. But he wanted to give back. I got involved last year as the vice chair. This year I'm the chairman of the event. Sean and I are going to do a live